Hello, my name is Alexis Gonzalez. Today I will be informing you guys about the pros and cons of online learning during the national pandemic. As students attending Palmer College this fall semester, what are your honest thoughts of online learning? Do you find online learning to be more or less beneficial than face-to-face learning? If so, should our campus reopen or should we remain doing online courses for the rest of the year? If so, why? As we all know, the COVID-19 pandemic has changed the education system and the way we are taught. The pandemic has resulted in school shutdowns all around the world. Schools in the United States and around the world have moved to remote learning this fall, with some exceptions of some schools. Many of the schools operating during the pandemic are quickly shut down due to COVID outbreaks on their campuses. Schools should remain closed to slow the spread of the coronavirus until proven safe to reopen. As a student myself attending Palmer College during the pandemic, I have reason to believe that there are both pros and cons of online learning, and for the time being, it is in the best interest for schools to remain doing online learning. Today, we will learn about the advantages and disadvantages of, and even similarities of remote learning or distance learning. First, we will talk about how flexible online learning can be for many students. Second, we will discuss how hard it can be for students to focus or concentrate during online classes. Finally, we'll look into the similarities between both types of learning. Online learning has been preferred by many college students over the years because of its convenience and flexibility. Students who would otherwise struggle to fit in traditional classes into their schedule because of their commitments such as work or children can now learn at their own convenience. In the article, Why Online College Flexibility by the TBS staff mentions that according to the National Center of Education Statistics, nearly 3 million students in the United States are taking at least one online course. A significant percentage of these students are non-traditional students, meaning that they are 25 or older. This population of adult learners typically must balance work and life with their educational objectives. For them, flexibility is an absolute must. Online learning can be a better alternative for people who work or have children because online learning allows them to study when they want, how they want, and wherever they want, all in the comfort of their home. Although there might be some advantages of online studying, there are also some disadvantages to this type of learning. One of the biggest disadvantages to online learning is that it can be easy for students to lose focus or concentration with so many distractions at home. Some of these distractions may include our phones, background noises such as our television, or even our mom yelling at our siblings in the background. It is important to pay close attention during lecture because if you don't, it is easy for you to fall behind, especially when you are doing online courses such as math or physics. It can be difficult for many students to pay attention with all these distractions. These are distractions that you wouldn't have if you were in a traditional classroom. In the journal Mind Wandering, Control Failures, and Social Media Distractions in Online Learning, published in the 2016 edition of the Learning and Instructions by Benjamin, Hollis, and Christopher A., suggests that mind wandering often leads to performance and accuracy errors during activities that are demanding and require concentration. Students often asked to concentrate or demanding tasks in their studies, and by nature in their principles off-task thinking would inherently be prohibitive to their success. Further, the distraction nature of social media and technology may greatly increase the likelihood of mind wandering when students are engaged in online learning. Digital distractions such as Instagram or TikTok play a big role in distracting students from either doing their online homework or even paying attention in class. Additionally, another research suggests that our phones are both essential to learning and continue source of interruption. In the article Help Your Students Deal with Digital Distractions by Alyssa Abel, she mentions that as social interactions continue to move online, it can be increasingly challenging to manage real life relationship and responsibilities. This includes school. With phones in hand, students can't fully focus on what is in front of them, including when they are in class. Minimizing these distractions is key in helping students do better in school. Even though there are advantages and disadvantages of online learning, there are also some similarities between the two types of learning. One of the biggest similarities between distance and face-to-face learning is that online learning allows students to have the same student-to-student interactions they would have if they were in a traditional classroom. Online services like Zoom offer a feature where students are allowed to where teachers are allowed to split students into groups, the same way they would do if they were physically in class. For example, my math and physics teacher do this when we have difficult problems. We are put into groups to solve those equations together. In the journal Maximizing Engagement Between Online and On-Campus Students via Zoom, published in the 2020 on the Wabash Center Journal of Teaching by Daniel Alvarez, mentions that the strategy was effective because online and on-campus students were able to interact with one another at a closer level. Students carried to more in-depth conversations than they had ever before. The author suggests that the breakout rooms on Zoom are an effective way for students to engage with one another. Today, we covered some of the advantages and disadvantages of online learning. We also got to examine some of the similarities between online learning and face-to-face learning. We now understand that even though advantages and disadvantages exist, at the end of the day, online learning and face-to-face learning are similar. And yes, online learning demands a very different approach than in-person classrooms, but it is something that we will have to get used to for now. It is important to know that online learning is the best solution for now. So next time you complain about online classes, remember that we are living through a national pandemic. Thank you for listening.